And you collaborated with James Brown in 1984, is that right?
Oh yes, James Brown, the king.
What was he, the movie, there's a movie that just came out, Get On Up, which is a biopic of him. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I knew something of James Brown, but when I watched that movie, I realized he was the hardest working man in showbiz. And I forgot how much impact he had on the industry and on the music. And I think generations tend to forget. And I needed someone to remind me of you, and then we needed someone to remind us of James Brown. What was James like, and what effect did he have on the music business?
There'd be no hip hop if it was with James Brown. James Brown is hip hop. James Brown, music would stink without James Brown. James Brown music was so powerful, so funky, that so many people try to emulate it or get their funk from it. I always give a lot of credit to James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, and Uncle George from Parliament Funkadelic for really pushing and making the funk happen for many people. James, the way he spoke, the way he took care of certain business, this ideology, say loud, I'm black and I'm proud, he flipped that whole you colored Negro stuff overnight. At a time when people wouldn't respect each other as being black or would fight you because you called themselves black. And all his music, talking about the funky president, it's a new day, give it up, turn it loose, and sometimes you make me feel like a sex machine, which also Sly Stone did a 16-minute version of his version of Sex Machine when he's one of the first that started all that vocoder and making instruments talk and speak to each other. And giving up with Sly, there was the music before Sly, and then there's the music after Sly, because Sly really changed the whole, especially the black music scene, with all that funk and wild and guitar. Even James had to change some of his stuff after Sly came out. And Motown, the whole Motown sound just changed after Sly came out. When you had those great producers, Holland, Barry, Holland Dozer, and Holland. Many of them, when they was doing different things for the Undisputed Truth and all those groups, everybody started changing to that funk and wild dressing like Sly. And everybody was always trying to get that groove and funk like James. And then when P-Funk came out, because when Uncle George and Parliament came out, they also was dressing, more like the Temptations and the do-rags and everything. Then when they heard Sly, they just flipped to the whole funkadelic thing, and Uncle George became that king of that funk empire. So, these three are very important to the music industry, as just as the Beatles and the Rolling Stones was important over here with the rock, what they was doing. So, and the same in hip hop. That's why I respect like Mick and John Lennon and Sly and James and all of them, because they did it their way. They didn't care, and the companies had to go, if they wanted to do funk, the Rolling Stones, they had to go and push that funk music that the Rolling Stones wanted to do, whether Miss You Much or Hot Stuff, but I just did a version with the Mighty McCumbles of Hot Stuff. So, all these groups, I give a lot of respect and tribute to them for what they did and doing it their way, just like the Sex Pistols did it their way too.
This week on London Real, we have the English rapper, poet, and journalist, Akala.
Hate by the pound surrounds my reflection. I do this for my own protection.
If I didn't go to Pan-African Saturday School, if I didn't grow up in that empire, if I didn't listen to Wu-Tang Forever or read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 9, would I be the person I am today? Probably not.
One too many man that could have been doctors, end up spending the whole life boxed up.
Hip-hop was my life. It was something I lived. I loved interacting with it. I wrote lyrics every day. I was in battles.
Cause to me, all they do is breed conflict.
First time I saw someone get stabbed, I was 12, and it was a little poke. It was a meat cleaver in the back of a guy's head. I had other teachers that felt that person from my racial, cultural, economic background, and certainly from my socioeconomic background, should not have been top of the class. These were guys who were doing well in the street, but they'd spent so much of their life in and out of prison, etc. But they were like, you don't want to be like us. You're clever. In fact, if you drop out of school, we're going to give you a hiding.
Yeah, they say you are British, and that Lovely patriotism, they feed ya, but in reality you have more in common with immigrants than with your leaders.
If the music is good enough, if the visual is good enough, if your online interaction is decent, you can keep your integrity and have a career.
If we're honest, true strength is the strength to be honest.
Ultimately, any power structure in the world wants to stay powerful.
On Sunday, London Real presents Akala. Knowledge is power.
It's fear, but at 20 you can't admit it's fear.